Okay, we're testing the sound. Hopefully everyone can hear me. All right. We're going to go ahead and get started our Friday morning practice. At the end, remember the recording will just end, and so you can take a couple of moments to say hi to the other people on the line and see how things are going, how everybody's doing, checking in. It's always important to do that. Okay, so let's get started. You can take a comfortable seat. You might be sitting on the floor. You might be sitting in a chair. You might have legs crossed or forward, anything that feels comfortable and allows you to keep an upright posture, like you were balancing a book on the top of your head. And let's take a couple of inhales. Inhaling, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulders down the back. And again, inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulders down the back. One more. Inhale, shoulders up. Exhale, shoulders down the back, keeping the chest lifted. Allow the nose to drop down. Eyes can be closed or soft. Tuning into the breath. Just noticing the breath in the body. Starting to explore the body with the mind. See if you can sense into all parts of the body. And as you start to explore, notice if there's anything that you would like to shift or change over the course of your practice. So this might just be a feeling, a sensation, an impression. It does not need to have a name. Just taking note of where that would reside in the body and what that new state would feel like. On the inhale, we're going to start to draw in energies that brings us a little closer to that new state that we like to move into. So starting to feel in those parts of the body, an embodiment of what could be, drawing in those supportive breaths. On your exhale, release anything you don't need to make room for this change to happen. So letting go of anything you might be holding on to that you don't need for practice. It'll be there when class is done. Inhaling support, exhaling excess. And then coming back to your natural breath, just feeling the breath in the body. On your next inhale, and slowly open the eyes and come back into space. All right, let's take a side bend. We'll take the left hand down, right hand up and over. Inhale up and over to the other side. Inhale back up to center. Let's take the hands back by the hips, lift the chest up toward the ceiling. You might look back, you might look straight ahead, just lifting the center of the chest. On the inhale, we'll come on back up to center. Let's take the hands to the hips and we'll circle at the hips. We'll pause in that direction. Now circle the other way. And come on back to center. Let's do a little for the neck. So keep the shoulders back. We'll drop the nose toward the floor and then circle with the tip of the nose, the biggest circle that you can. And we'll pause in that direction and circle the other way. And then the next time you're at the starting position, we'll pause there and then lift the head. Let's come into a twist. We're going to turn toward the left. Inhale, back through center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, back to center. I'm going to do a little for the hips. I'm going to extend the legs out, extend the left leg out, keep your right leg in. Now, if you're in a chair, you've got your left leg down. I'm going to try to bring your right foot up to the top of your thigh if you're in the chair. If you're on the floor, you can also start with the right ankle on your thigh. And then from here, we're going to see if we can take it a little more. I'm going to take your left hand underneath of the ankles, supporting the ankle so it doesn't turn. And then grab your knee with your other hand. Now from here, see if you can lift it up a bit. Now maybe you can't, and it's down here, and it is where it is, that's okay. I don't want you to round forward to get there. So keep an upright posture. We're using arm strength to start to lift that leg a little closer, knee and ankle. From here, if you're up off of your other leg, you can go ahead and rock back and forth. So taking the knee straight out to the side. You feel this in the hip. And then we'll come back to center. We're going to place that ankle back on the thigh. And again, if you're in the chair, you'll just set that leg down. We're going to come forward. So if you're in a chair, you're going to have your hands back on the chair. If you're on the floor, you'll have your hands by your hips. And lean forward here. Try to keep the toes up if you're on the floor. Try to keep your toes up on your left foot. So it's an inner spiral rotation there. And keep your hands back, reminding us to keep length in the spine, leading with the chest, not the nose. On the inhale, we'll come on up from there. Keep the legs where they are. We're going to turn to the right. So we'll drop the left arm to the outside of the knee. You can use that as leverage to help you turn around. On inhale, we'll unwind. We're going to release the right leg. I'm going to try the same thing on the other side. We're going to draw that left foot up, maybe bring the ankle to the knee to start. this other knee is just going to do what it's going to do. It could be different on this side. If you're able to, support your ankle under your hand and your knee with the other hand. Keep an upright posture and start to slide the leg back and forth. So right, he's moving sideways here. Come on back to center. You can place that ankle back on the thigh. And then hands back by the hips will come on forward, any amount. Just noticing if there's a difference on this side versus the other. On an inhale, we'll come on back up. And then the twist. We're going to take the right arm to the outside of the knee and open the chest toward the left. On an inhale, we'll come on back to center. You can release the legs. And now we're going to come up to standing. So any way you can, take your time coming up. Once we're up, we're going to stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. Feeling the feet on the floor, shoulders back. Feeling the balance in the body. So you might rock forward and back. Allow your eyes to soften, really connecting with your feet. Rocking from heels to toe. And find the center of that forward back motion. And then rock your feet, pinky toe side, big toe side. And find the center between the left and right side and the forward back. Engage the muscles of the legs as if you were pushing your feet further into the ground. And drawing the shoulders back, abdominals slightly in. I'm going to inhale, take the arms up overhead. I'm going to pause here. Shoulders down the back, away from the ears, elbows straight. Notice if your balance changed in your feet. Reconnecting with your feet. Reaching through the fingers. And come into crescent pose. Bring the palms together, cross the thumbs, keeping the alignment in the shoulders, drop down to the right. On an inhale, we'll come back up through center, change the cross of the thumbs, crescent pose to the left, shoulders in line. On an inhale, we'll come on back up to center, release the hands to the lower back and the back bend. So the tailbone will come forward, chest lifting, shoulders away from the ears. You might look back behind, you might just look straight ahead. The further back you go, the more the tailbone has to come forward. And we'll draw the abdominals in, come on up to center, and reverse into Uttanasana, standing forward bend. So if you can touch the floor, we'll bring the hands down. If you can't, you could have your hands on your shins. You could even use a block here. I'm going to try to keep that balance from the heels to the toes, keeping the hips in line with the center of the feet. Upper body softens down. And now from here, we're going to try to grab a hold of your elbows with your hands. And if you can do that, I'm going to pretend you're a pendulum, like a big clock. I'm going to swing from one side to the other. Just taking one elbow out and then taking the other elbow out. Allow the head to hang. And then we'll come back to center. I'm going to come back up to standing. So take a bend of the knees, abdominals in, and roll the spine up. Coming up ragdoll style, nice and slow breathing. Back to Tadasana. All right, we'll take the right foot forward, left foot back for warrior one. And bend the front knees, or front knee, and the front knee, back leg straight. Hips in line with the front of the room, and we'll take the arms up. Here, Dandasana one, warrior one. From here, you're going to root into your back foot and start to drop the chest forward. Now, if the arms become too heavy here, take the hands to the hips. You can come down as low as you want, front knee still bent. On an inhale, we'll come on back up to our warrior one. Step the feet together, back to standing. Let's take the hands to the hips and circle. So we're going to do a little hula hooping. We're going to release the back. And pause that direction, hula hoop the other way. And coming back to center, we're going to try the other side. So take that left foot forward. Let's see if I can bring my camera down. No, no can do. Left foot forward, right foot back. I'm going to bend the front knee and arms up and over the head. Here, Dvandrasana 1, Warrior 1. And while rooting into your back foot, we'll lean forward. So you could keep your arms over your head. You could bring your hands to your hips. On an inhale, we'll come on back up to the Warrior 1. And we'll release and step the feet together. I'm going to work into pyramid pose. So if you have a couple of blocks you might want to use those. So we're going to take the right foot forward, left foot back. I'm going to square the hips to the front of the room. Both knees are straight this time. We'll come on down with the hands on the blocks, and they could be at any height here. Now you might not have blocks. Maybe you can touch the floor. That's great. Just make sure you're not rounding the spine to get down. You want to try to lead with the chest and get some length from tailbone to the top of the head. You also want to make sure this right knee is not locking. So you got to keep a little micro bend in it, keep some tone around the kneecap if that's a tendency you have. Now, if this is too low for you, you could do the same thing, but using a seat of a chair. So you could have your hands on a chair here. From pyramid, when I come into a revolved triangle pose, so we're going to scoot that block on the left side a little bit closer to the front foot. I'm going to keep that hand down without moving the hips. Try to slip your right hand to your hip and then stack the shoulders. Really draw that shoulder back, opening the chest toward the right. Now, if your shoulders are stacked, you could release that hand up toward the ceiling. You could also just keep that hand down. On an inhale, we'll unwind back into pyramid. I'm going to take a slight bend to your front knee, hop your back foot in, and then come on up to standing. All right. Let's try that on the other side. So we're going to take the left foot forward, right foot back, and square the hips to the front as you come down. So left foot forward, right foot back, both legs straight, lengthen the spine, hands on your blocks, coming into pyramid pose. And then from here, we're going to take that right block, move it in a little bit closer. Keep that hand down. Slip your left hand to your left hip. Start to stack the shoulders, opening the chest toward the left. And you might release the hand up toward the ceiling. You might keep it down on your hip. Inhale, we'll unwind back into pyramid. Slight bend to the front knee, hop your back foot in, and come on up to standing. All right, let's do a little bit of balance work. I'm going to come into tree pose. I'm going to try to find balance on the right side. Now, if you need the support of a wall, piece of furniture, chair, please use that. Rooting into your right foot, lighten the load on your left foot, keep the hips level. I'm going to come into any version of tree pose. So maybe you bring the foot all the way up. Maybe the foot is down on your shin. Maybe the toes are touching the floor. Try to keep that knee out. Keep the hips level. Keep the shoulders stacking. Gaze is somewhere that is not moving, just resting in a place in the room. Breath is flowing. Really focusing on the right leg. And then we'll come on out with control. Switching to the other side, we'll keep the left foot firmly planted. Right foot comes up for any version of tree pose on this side. So try and keep the mind focused on what you're doing. Remember, your tree pose may have the foot somewhere else on the leg or even touching the floor. and inhale, we'll come out with control. All right, standing wide leg forward bend. So I'm going to take the feet wide. Now, again, you could have a chair here. You could have blocks placed somewhere that's easy for you to get to. You may know that you can touch the floor already and don't need those props. But I do want your feet on a sticky mat. So you're going to have your feet wide on a sticky mat. So they're not going to slide. You're going to try to take the heels out, toes in. So that's going to give a double inner spiral on the thighs. And now notice if you have a tendency to roll onto pinky toe side or the opposite, drop your knees in to big toe side. Try to find the center of the foot. So try to find the right toning around your ankles to keep the feet firmly on the floor. I'm going to tone the muscles from the feet now all the way up into the hips. And then we're going to hinge at the hips and come down. Legs are your support. Legs are holding. When you come down and bring your hands down to wherever they're going to be, don't just relax in the legs. Try to take the tailbone up toward the ceiling and still try to keep your balance between the heels and the toes, just like we did in mountain pose. So if you're too far forward, you'll feel it in your toes. If you're too far back, you'll feel heavy in your heels. So see if you can bring the hips level with the center of the foot. Now, if you can go lower, then by all means, you may come down lower on your blocks. If you're all the way touching the floor, and then you can start to drop your chest down even lower and bend your elbows, but try to keep your shoulders from rounding. So the shoulders are going to go up toward the hips as you drop down. You can be at any height. From here, we're going to work our way into a twist. So if you're using blocks, you're going to bring the right block towards center. If you're using a chair, move your hand a little more towards center. Slip the left hand to your hip and stack the shoulders. So similar to what we did before. Stack your shoulders, open the chest to the left. And then if you want, you could release that hand up toward the ceiling. Now the hips will shift a bit to get you there. That's okay. On the inhale, we'll unwind the twist. We're going to switch sides. So that block now has the left hand on it. We'll slip the right hand to the right hip and open. So draw the shoulder back and keep the shoulder back if you're going to take the hand up toward the ceiling. I'm going to inhale. We'll unwind the twist. Now to come up, you're going to bend those knees. You might heel toe the feet in a little more to comfortably come up to standing. Breathing, breathing. Now from here, we're actually going to work our way down to the floor. I'm going to start out in hands and knees. So if you need some padding under your knees, then please use a blanket. Try a doubling up on your mat. We're going to start hands and knees. So the knees are right underneath of the hips, the feet are hip distance apart, and the hands are right underneath of the shoulders. Do a little cat-cow. So from here, tailbone up, chest up, belly drops toward the floor. On an exhale, we'll arch the back up toward the ceiling, drawing the abdominals in. Let's go back and forth here with your breath and trying to really optimize the range of motion. So you're going to drop that belly a lot on your inhale and pulling it in a lot on your exhale. And the next time that you come into cat pose with the arched back, I'm going to take the hips to the heels in a prayer pose. Now, if you need to take the knees wide, you can do that. In prayer pose, we keep the arms off the floor and then push the hands down into the floor. The head may drop down. Just breathing in the back. So if you push your hands down, you should feel a little more in the shoulders, like you're pushing your hands into the floor. From here, come on up into hero pose. Hero pose, you're sitting on your feet. So again, knees could be wide, they could be in more, no choice there. I'm gonna grab a hold of a couple of blocks or some books and take the blocks shoulder width apart. Now they don't have to be this high. You could start out at a lower level. I'm gonna start mid-level. You'll know once you get in if you need to change. I'm going to come forward again. This time we're going to bring the elbows to the blocks. Remember, they're shoulder width apart, and bring your palms together. So from here, I'm going to take the hips back to the heels again, and now start to drop your head between the elbows toward the floor, and bring your hands onto your back. So here you're using gravity to help draw the elbows up toward the ceiling, and then that front of the body, the chest, the collarbone is dropping down toward the floor. And again, if this is too high, you could come down a level on the block. Inhale, we'll go ahead and release the hands and come on back up. Set your blocks aside. We're going to work our way now into a half plank pose. We're going to walk those hands forward, coming back into your hands and knees. And then from here, take your hands a little bit forward, about a whole handspan forward. And then you can start to bring the hips more in line with your shoulders and your knees. And so you want to make as long of a plank as you can. Abdominals supporting. You're going to push into the floor. So you're broadening across the collarbone. We're using active hands and active arms. Now, if you're wanting more and your knees are okay here, try to pick your feet up off the floor. So we're not letting the hips sink and we're not rounding, but if this is too strong for you at any time, you can start to take the hips a little bit back again to toward your hands and knees. That'll reduce the stress on the hands and arms. Just holding, broadening across the collarbone, breathing. And then from here, we'll bring the feet back down if they're up and the hips back. We're going to work our way now onto the back. Lying down with the knees bent and the feet on the floor. So just starting here, I'm going to bring the hands to your belly, just breathing in the belly. Checking in with the body. And then we'll pick up the right foot. Pick up the right foot, draw that knee in. You know, if you can grab the knee or the shin, you can start to pull that in a little closer. And then you can extend your left leg long on the floor. And then release that leg. I'm going to bend your left knee, draw it in. We'll have the hands around, starting to pull that knee in closer. And extend your right leg long here. And then we'll release that leg. We're going to bend both knees now, feet on the floor. We'll bring the hands down by the hips and the tops of the shoulders down towards the floor. So you might push in your elbows, draw those shoulder blades a little more close together.
Push into the feet and lift the hips straight up to the ceiling for bridge pose. Tailbone points toward the knees, and we keep the knees hip distance apart so they're not going out to the sides. And now we breathe uphill, up into the belly region. If you have room over your head, you can take your arms up and over your head. And then we'll bring the arms back down and lower the hips back down. We're going to extend the right leg long. Pick up the left foot and place it on the right thigh. The right hand will grab a hold of your left knee and then pull it toward the right, rolling all the way onto your side, dropping the knee toward the floor. I'm going to open the chest toward the ceiling and drop your left shoulder down toward the floor. Coming into a twist. On an inhale, we'll come on back to center, bending both knees, feet on the floor to recenter the spine. Then we'll extend the left leg long, pick up the right foot, place it on the left thigh. Left hand grabs a hold of the right knee. Cross the knee across the body to the left, starting to drop that knee toward the floor. Keep the right shoulder down, open the chest toward the ceiling. On inhale, we'll come on back to center, releasing the feet, knees bent, feet on the floor. Recenter spine if it shifted. Take the feet mat width apart, still on the floor, arms out to the side. I'm going to drop the knees from one side and then the other. And then when you're balanced on both sides, we'll come back to center. You have a choice here. You could do Shavasana lying on the floor in corpse pose, or if you prefer, you could come up
for a seated meditation. So if you're in the seated version, make sure that the spine is supported and you are upright. So if you're going to do that one, just make sure that you've got a nice lift in the chest. Otherwise, you're down in the corpse pose, and we'll release, releasing the control over the body, over the breath, and just observing the natural state of your being. And if you're on the floor, you can make your way back up to sitting. Take your time, move at your pace. I want to thank everyone for joining this morning. I hope you had a wonderful practice. I hope you get a chance to say hi to each other. And I'll see you next time in a live class. Namaste.